Good evening. Welcome to Dr.Gor show. So usually I have physician or physician allied professionals to come on the TV show. I have a very different person today, and it's my delight, pleasure, and mere luck to have Anil Srinivastav on my Dr.Gor show. So welcome to Dr.Gor show.
Well, thank you, Hetal. And if you're trying to say it right, it's Anil Srinivastav.
Srinivastav, correct.
But yeah, thank you for having me here. And it's my pleasure to be on this show because I met you very recently and I hear good things about your show, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Absolutely. So Anil has a long career in media. He was in United States. He had his own radio show and a TV, and then he was a CEO of a cricket IPL company, and now he has a late night radio talk show, which I found very interesting. But today we are on a subject which is very close to his heart, and as a physician I'm very compassionate about the topic that we're going to discuss. It's called organ donation and why. According to Hindu mythology and different beliefs, religious people are a little bit sometimes in two minds, or they feel that the body should go intact for the next birth, or if you're in pieces, maybe you're not going to go to heaven. Those are some of the reasons I've heard about organ donation resistance. What has been your experience, Anil, when you go around talking about this very important topic?
Well, you're right, bang on. Other than many more such reasons, there are three main categories what prevent people from doing what is the right thing to do, is to recycle yourself.
Correct.
And that is a lack of awareness, sentiment, and superstition.
Right.
And what you mentioned has to do with superstition when they say, well, we've come in 10 pieces, we've got to go back in 10 pieces, and otherwise the doors of heaven would be closed. My argument is, if you've given part of your piece to someone to live a better, more fruitful life, perhaps you get into the front of the line to the stairway to heaven. And that's the message I want to give. If heaven is your destination, there's no faster way of doing it than gifting a life on your way out.
Absolutely. I think when I was very young, I think 17, 18, and I had to declare on my driver's license, do I want my organs to be donated? And I ticked mark yes. And in my own house, my mother was somebody who said, that's not good, blah, 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 and similar arguments. And my dad was like, good job, that's what I have it. Like each and every part of my body, either I'll donate it to medical school for dissections or donation if I can't, because after death, body is lifeless.
It's a package that's thrown out when even if you buy new things, you throw off the package, right? You don't keep the package.
Correct.
And that's our bodies are a package, nothing else. And especially in the Hindu beliefs in the way of life, we burn our body.
Exactly.
So it's not like we're preserving it for like the mummies did, or the Islamic society does when they bury, and the Christian people, they bury their bodies. But we burn our bodies. Why burn something that's useful to somebody?
Absolutely. And we'll go into the details about organ donations and stuff, but there are so many useful parts of our bodies that when our soul has left, the body can be used, and if it can be used, you're leaving your legacy behind.
Well, if you look at from an ego perspective, yes, leaving a legacy is a very big part of one's ego.
Correct.
Which is good.
Right.
So even if you feel that you want to cheat death, people say tum Yamraj ko cheat nahi kar sakte ho. Well, you can, because he's going to take your soul. You can leave a piece of your body in someone else's life.
Correct.
And they continue to live on your behalf. At least some part of you continues to survive. You finally cheated death.
Correct. So the reason I brought that, because I think there are different people and different argument touches people. Some you'll say it's a good karma. Some will see it as a charity to help another people, say, see things by corneal transplant or live a healthier life, say by kidney.
Correct.
But some people, it's the ego that they're continuing their story,
yeah, exactly.
and which is fine.
And I say, be a donor, be a hero.
Right, absolutely. So Tell me, Anil, you had a great career here, and then you have a great career back home in Bangalore. And how did you get so passionate about organ donation? And what
Well,
got you inside this world of organ donation?
well, like you, Hetal, I was exposed to organ donation, the idea of something called live organ donation, when you were still alive and gave a piece of your
Sure.
body, in this case, either a liver or a kidney. When I lived here in New Jersey, when my neighbor, in I think 2000, 2001, went and gave her kidney to her sister in Arizona. But I never thought too much about that. Once
Sure.
oh, did you do that? Oh, very good. And my reaction was, oh, is that even possible?
Right.
Right? So I left
You're
it
a
at that.
non-medical person at that point, right?
Fair enough. And I left it at that. Then a year and a half ago, or a little before that, 2.5 years ago, my brother came up to me and said, listen, my kid, and he's just a year older than I am, and
Okay.
he's a neurosurgeon himself and a very
Okay.
well-known one in Bangalore.
Okay.
And he said, listen, my kidneys are failing and I need a kidney. If I ever need a kidney, would you give me one?
Right.
And that was the next time an idea of organ donation hit close to me.
Correct.
First it was a neighbor, my next door neighbor, and now it's my family. And you never know when it's going to hit you.
Absolutely.
Okay, with Indian lifestyles changing and the Indian ethnicity,
Correct.
which is predisposed to a lot of new
Absolutely.
age problems like hypertension and diabetes and things that are related to that, kidney disease is also becoming part of that.
Absolutely. And without going into your brother's medical history, I just wanted to bring a few points that especially Asian and Indians are very, very high risk of kidney issues because of diabetes and blood pressure issues.
Yeah, and hypertension, which is
Right. So both diabetes and blood pressure or hypertension, it's so prevalent in Indians, and if we don't control it, and that's usually my talk here on Dr. Gor show, that why we have to control sugars, why we have to do blood pressure, and sometimes it's controllable, sometimes it's not, and then it can lead to kidney issues.
And then when it comes close to home, or if you are the one who's looking for a kidney donation and somebody says, no, I'm sorry, I can't give it to you, when he or she actually can, how would that feel? So the gift of life adventure is what prompted me. So I did give my kidney a year and a half ago.
Very noble thing to do.
Well, see the fear, again, then there are fears associated with it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm as human as the next person is, and I was
Absolutely.
afraid. I have 2 young kids and a wife who was even more afraid of that. What could happen to me possibly. And I've been through all of those emotions to the point of actually giving the kidney. So I can speak with conviction and tell you it's no big deal. You're in and you're out. Your life is not going to change. If you were lazy before you gave a kidney, you will continue to be lazy after. Or if you were active like I used to be, I am continuing to be active. In fact, my life is extraordinary after. Not just ordinary, it's extraordinary. For those superstitious people, let me also, this may be something you're interested to know, but since I've given my kidney, something changed in my universe. Things have come to a point where it just happens for me. I think it and it happens.
It's your good karma, I think.
Whatever it is, but the point is, if you're superstitious about, oh, if I gave my body part after I'm dead, I gave it while I'm alive, but after I'm dead, if I can't give my body part because I want to make it to heaven, let me tell you, there's a shortcut to that place, and that's gifting a life. And I can give you instances of how things just panned out, especially on this journey that hopefully we'll talk about that I just made.
Absolutely.
And it makes you believe that there are angels out there looking out for you.
Right. And
I never felt this before.
Right. No, I think at some point you had the epiphany, and I think the good karma, the good vibes, they're trying to kind of make it easier for you, hopefully.
They're conspiring, as they say, Sari Kainat,
Yeah.
they conspire to make your life easier. And I'm not seeking it, I'm not asking for it. It just dramatically changed all by itself.
Right. And which is amazing.
One day I gave my kidney, 3 months later, whatever I aspire to do, whatever I try to do, only good things are happening to me.
Correct. So
Knock on wood.
what Anil did was what we call as live organ donation. As he pointed out, kidneys and liver are number 1 for live organ donation because you need something which was really actively still good, and then you kind of transfer. Luckily, we have two kidneys, so we could spare one kidney, which Anil did. But the example of what he's trying to say, and I want to emphasize on that, that yes, it's a major surgery. Yes, you might have to take some medications, if need be, painkillers, and the person getting it also has to undergo surgery for it to be transplanted at almost at the same time, next operating room, and has to take medication of suppression, etc. But overall, as you can see, he's healthy, and to prove his point and to get awareness going, he took this journey upon which we're going to talk about, where he drove from Bangalore to Scotland, and on his way he took some stops and spread the word all around the world and got the awareness going. So tell us more about your outdoor passion of driving and meeting new people and spreading the word. How was that?
Well, I am luckily the recipient of good health, and I'm an active guy. I continue to be, and I melded the idea of my activity with being useful in my lifetime.
Absolutely.
I call myself a social cause traveler. A lot of people run marathons and raise money and awareness for things, or
Right.
they pour ice water on themselves
To bring the
raise
awareness. Correct.
I chose to drive from Bangalore to Scotland because I love driving, and I love driving because it allows me the freedom to actually experience the planet I live on,
Right.
and meet people who I would otherwise not meet in my day-to-day life along the way. And that journey itself was fulfilling in its entirety, other than the fact that I was trying to spread more awareness about organ donation. So I brought them together and took this journey, to raise more awareness because of the curiosity my journey generates.
Right.
And number two, to also prove that an active life is not far away even after you are a live organ donor.
Correct.
Right. And what I'm seeking to promote is the idea of organ donation after your death.
Right. Because live organ donation can scare people, which is, absolutely, if after this show or after.
But it shouldn't.
Right, right. And exactly that's what I'm coming to, like after the show or after going on your website or reading about you and other people who've given the live organ donation, you'll realize that it's not as bad. And as Anil pointed out, you can see his life is extraordinary after his donation. So that shouldn't scare people. But even if, say, that's something, or there was never a need, say, but I think donating organs after one's death, I think is still something that we all know our endpoint at some point or the other. We don't know when and how, but at least we know we all are going to be dead one day. And what we can do after that, I think if we can take charge of it now, I think will make so much sense. So we're going to take a short break, and we're going to continue this journey and learn about what his experiences have been during his travel and while he's been promoting awareness on organ donation. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Hey guys, don't forget to tune in to Inside Scoop every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. It's a show where we interview interesting people from different walks of life, all relevant to the South Asian and Indo-Caribbean community. It also repeats every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern and Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern.
Welcome back to Dr.Gor show. So far we've spoken with Anil about organ donation and how he got involved, and a lot of misconception about organ donation. So tell me, once you had this concept about driving, kind of what arrangements you had to make. Did you have to take like permissions, visas, permits? What did you have to go through?
Well, it's funny how this idea first came about. When I was recovering from my surgery, it was 2 months. I took about 2 months to recover. So just a month after my surgery, I was still in pain, and a friend came and came to see me. And this friend and other friends, we usually drive together long distance. So the last time we went from Bangalore to Ladakh. So he came home and said, "Listen, Anil, get well soon, because in 2016 we're planning to drive to England." There again, I had never imagined that it was possible. It never even crossed my mind to do something like that. But when he put it in there, you put it out in the universe, I'm like, oh, is it possible? And that's when my planning began. The funny part is he's not on this trip with me. I finished and completed the trip, but he'd never showed up on the trip. But maybe he was there just to light a spark. And that
Correct.
spark was lit. So the planning was quite intensive. You had to think, because you have a car and that's your home for 2.5, 3 months. So there are a lot of small logistics involved with just what you carry with you and how much you can carry, because this is limited space. Then the visas, of course, and the permissions that you need to take your car into certain countries. For example, China required permission that took me about 4 months to get.
Wow.
So the planning began about 1.5 years early.
Right.
Of course, it probably would be a lot easier now when my next trip happens.
Right.
But my gift of life adventure actually began 6 months after my surgery.
Okay.
Okay, what I did with this drive was part 2. The part 1 was after 6 months, my brother and I, with my son, we went to Spain and we cycled in Spain for 7 days.
Okay.
Okay, it was strenuous,
Right.
extremely strenuous, because we didn't realize the part of Spain that we went to was pretty hilly.
Hilly areas. I have been to
Andalusia.
Spain a few times, and
So we went to Andalusia, and it was to show
it's
that
very scenic, but it's hilly.
it's hilly. So I did that to show my brother, the recipient, me, the donor, and how our lives can go back to being an active lifestyle.
Right.
So that was part 1. It was just for 7 days. Now this was part 2 for 72 days. It took us 72 days from Bangalore to Scotland to get there. We were 7 of us in 2 cars. And the journey itself, there are stories just in itself with the kinds of interactions we've had. But where organ donation is concerned, we've done a lot of one-on-one discussions because of our journey along the way. A lot of curious minds come up to us
Correct.
and ask us what this is about. And then we tell them this is about this, this, this. And then, oh, is it possible? Same thing. But it's more one-on-one.
Right. Right.
Okay, it has to scale to a point that I believe my dream is, if we'd start today, 40 years from now, or 50 years from now, there would be more people giving organs than the people needing them.
And it will be like by the way kind of a thing. It won't be like you have to tell people. It will be like
Exactly,
every person
it's going to become
will,
normal. It's going to
correct.
become passé,
It's a
as
norm.
they say. It's going to
Yeah.
be part of the system. It's going to be part of a very normal thought process,
Correct.
right? But it's going to. But you can't.
It takes time.
It's like nation building. You can't build a nation overnight.
Right.
And like that, you can't have this problem of shortage of organs go away overnight.
Right.
Right? We hope people live long, healthy lives. So there is a basic life expectancy that you have to factor in.
Absolutely.
So if at my age, I'm 48 now, if at my age I give an organ, say I'm donating an organ post my death, normally I should live till about 80.
Right.
That means that's another 32 years.
Right. That organ can be useful.
So people in their 60s and 70s and their 80s should think about it now.
Right.
Not that we want you to go, right? Please
But
do
if
not
do.
think of this as a superstitious thing. We are going to go. That's a given. And we have a certain life expectancy. That's a given. Let's just accept the fact and see if we can be useful today. I can be useful with normal things happening 32 years from now. I'm thinking 80. 80 is a good place to be. And if you're 70, if you're close to 80, you could be useful now. So this planning of what I'm trying to do to scale up this whole organ donation process is I've just launched what I call the Million Donor Project.
Okay.
Right? I think if I can be responsible for 1 million donors coming in and signing up, I've done my bit.
Absolutely.
Which means I would probably be helping at some point in the next 50 years. Because each organ donor helps at least 8 people immediately and 70 people attached to those people.
Right.
So that's 70 lives changing. So 1 million lives turning into 70 lives that have gotten better. I think if
It's a big number.
It's a big number. If it takes me 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, but I'm going to get to that number. That's the plan. That's the dream. And the gift of life adventure is something that's going to continue beyond this.
Absolutely. So apart from the website that you have and the registry that we spoke briefly about before, back home in India, do you have anything you're doing like a workshop or going to events or on any media there, or did you have like a big sponsors who wanted to kind of put their names, a hospital or a surgeon, anybody?
Well, actually, yes. we've got a lot of media when we left the country.
Right.
I haven't been back to India after my journey yet.
Okay.
Right, so it's been April 1st I left Bangalore, and I'm actually leaving tomorrow,
Right.
back home. I did have a lot of press interaction in London where I ended up. We had a big press conference in the House of Parliament with MP Keith Vaz sponsoring this whole idea, and I have sponsors in England. In fact, my t-shirt bears one of them. I think Leica Mobile is one of them, and everybody else. But yes, they are backing me up on this in India. I've got the Rotary Club of Washington State, District 5050, throwing in their hat with me on the $1 Million Donor Project now. And hopefully the Rotary bandwagon will continue to grow. I am a Rotarian myself in Bangalore. Hopefully my club will support me as well. But we've certainly got a commitment from the Washington State Rotary District. So I'm gathering this momentum of supporting me, because I can't do this alone. I can create the app, but I want that app to be used. And what does that app do?
Absolutely, that was going to be my question for viewers. It's not like it is like a regular app that you can download, but what we discussed, I think, is amazing, that none of your personal information is going to be given to anybody, and then the app is going to be destroyed and all your information will be erased. So tell briefly about your app.
Well, so the app triggers a conversation with your family. So when people say, have you signed up to be an organ donor? Who do you sign up with?
Right.
The common answer is, well, I've signed up with the Department of Transport, I've signed up with an organization, a hospital. I think that's tier 2. There's a tier 1 sign up. You've got to sign up with your family. If your family is unaware of this, it doesn't matter who else you've signed up with.
Correct.
Because they're there with you, or your friends, they're there with you. So this app allows you to sign up with your family. When it says allows, it triggers it. We don't think it's important to tell our family. But it is important, because when you're gone, they make decisions for you. And if they're unaware of your wish to live on through a recycled organ donation, then you're just going to go for waste.
Right. And in this country, along with, when you go to renew your driver's license, sometimes, you see that question. And a lot of times I get a question from patients that, oh, we said no because we think that if we say yes, that the physicians are not going to
treat you well,
kind of revive you or resuscitate you to the fullest. That's not usually the way it works, because
and it's a decision of the family, though.
Absolutely. But here also we have two things called healthcare proxy and advanced directives.
Yes.
You can specify in both of them what your wishes are to do or not to do. And if you're worried for resuscitation, you can always write specifically, do everything possible, and if it is not possible to keep me alive, then only do organ donation. You can specify. So that kind of fear is the way I approach it as a physician.
In fact, Hetal, I will give you a live example. So in 2001, I had meningitis. I'm a US citizen, right? So in 2001, I had meningitis, and I had to write my first will then. Right? And part of all of what I wrote was what you're saying. I have given the right to that decision, whether to pull the plug or not, to a designated person, either a family member or a friend. And they make that call for me, or my kids, and my kids are under 18, so they can't have that decision. So it's my wife, or my brother who's a doctor, or a friend, whoever is available first.
Correct.
Right, so yes, you're right. You can specify what happens to you, but in India, it's different.
Right, no, absolutely. So exactly, no, because we could have US both ways, here as well as India. So I just wanted to bring a point here, because not only just for organ donation, any opportunity I take, I want to make sure, because healthcare proxy and advanced directives are such an important thing.
Very important.
And in this country, even Americans don't do it, which are, I would say, Caucasian Americans. Forget the Indian Americans. And Indian Americans, we really don't realize the importance of that, because there are times when patients come for surgeries and, we have to write all that. And when I'm asking them a question,
freaking out, huh?
they're like, what is that? Like, because every consent we have to write this, and they're like, what does that mean? And to go through that at that point, I think it's a little bit,
too late. Yeah.
A tricky situation, because you're taking somebody for surgery, and I'm like, if you don't make it, then da 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 da, and like, am I going to, no, you're not going to die, but this is the requirement. So it's kind of a little bit like a tricky situation, but I think going forward, if we can get people to be aware about advanced directives.
And even if you sign up, well, first of all, even if you sign up on your driver's license, that's really in the case of an emergency, because
Correct.
when you passed on under normal circumstances of illness or whatever else, your driver's license is not what your family is going to look at.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
It's only done for a trauma case or some place like that where there is no family to speak for you.
Correct.
But they have to make a decision at that point, because an organ can be taken only within a time.
There is a specific time limit. So, in keeping the show time in mind, I just wanted to bring a few points. So don't make it a very, very late decisions, kind of decide ahead of time. And why, what Anil is saying, why families should know, not only because they are the ones that might be in your healthcare proxy or next of kin, or legally, they'll ask a spouse or a adult survivor, but also they might be the one who might benefit either way, because your HLA type matching, as for Anil, as a brother, you have a more chance rather than taking an organ from a stranger. And I really like the app concept, because that, if at all in the future, if we have a registry of some kind for, say, ethnic, we do have a bone marrow
Yes.
kind of registry here for Indians, and hopefully in India they would get that, because that brings the matching easier.
Correct. The survival rates are much higher. The acceptance rates are much higher.
Exactly.
Because, and I'll give you a
Rejection.
quick statistic. Now, in London, I spent some time there because that was my destination. And the South Asian community there is running through a crisis where organ donation is concerned. 30% of everyone waiting for an organ in the system of NHS in the UK are Asians.
Yeah.
30% are waiting for organs, but there's only 2% in the registry that are from this community.
Correct.
So if you have,
It's a big discrepancy.
and if you have those superstitious beliefs that, oh, I can't be giving away my part, but the same person is standing in line for a part.
Absolutely. There's a big discrepancy. And unfortunately, we are a minority population outside India in major city, even though we have very, very financially strong communities in around the world. What happens, there is a scarcity of the donors, and I think it is very important for either bone marrow or organ, either live or after death. I think it's very important. Any take-home message that I would give you from this show is, please think about it, start talking about it. It's never too late. Don't wait till last minute, and please pass on this message to your friends and family. Make a part of your conversation with kids as we get older. And this show will be, of course, put on YouTube, www.Dr.Gor show, as well as, I think, Anil's website. Anil, if you want to give your website.
Well, I have a YouTube channel as well. It's called Gift of Life Adventure. Some of our videos from our journey will be available there. It's fun. You should actually go look at it. And on Facebook, same name, Gift of Life Adventure. I think it's this way, back behind me. So please come and join me there. The Million Donor Project website will start getting built now, because this was an idea I came through during my drive. I haven't been back home yet, so when I get back home, that's my next project, and I hope you will do what it takes to get 1 million donors to sign up with their families. And this app will not take your personal information. It won't even stay on your phone once you finish the process. It will automatically delete from your phone, because we don't want to know any of your personal details. We just want to know that you've done it. And that's the only data I'll get from it. So please help us.
Till next time, good night, and thank you for watching Dr. Gor Show. Good night.